Hello and welcome back, and today, pretty much like your entire inbox, I want to talk to you about the coronavirus, COVID-19 and all the rest of those different names. And I precisely want to talk about its impact on network attached storage. Now, let's face it, this isn't just about network attached storage. There's a lot of technology out there, and this is pretty much going to be largely the same, everything I'm going to talk about today with hard drives and Thunderbolt. But the reason I'm focusing predominantly on network attached storage is twofold. One, because I talk about NAS a hell of a lot on this channel, particularly with new releases and stuff like that. And two, because network attached storage and indeed network appliances in general have suddenly really boomed during this period, because remote access, working from home, and just generally being very, very far away from most people is suddenly exceptionally in vogue for obvious reasons, because we want to contain any kind of contagion and stuff like that. And the other thing I want to make very, very, very clear with this video is this is not about panic. I'm not trying to get anyone worried about the future with NAS. It's just we should always keep a very open mind about these things. And one look at the last 1 month of hardware and everything going on in the channel and between different countries, and definitely the way the release schedule of a lot of NAS providers have changed recently, I think we can definitely take on board that it is going to make a huge impact the way businesses are reacting to coronavirus. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about what's happening so far. We want three things. One, what's happening so far. Two, what we expect to happen moving forward. And three, the inevitable result. So let's deal with the first one there. What's happening right now? Well, if we look at all the NAS brands, and we look at Synology, QNAP, TerraMaster, Acer Store, Netgear, all of just every single brand I talk about on the channel, almost all of them, their hardware is produced out in the East, in China, in Taiwan, and lots of those sort of factories out there where a lot of the hardware for most of our appliances is created. And because of the spread of this virus, lots of factories, lots of production facilities have done several things. One, even if they're working in just product development but not actually hands-on, they've been told, work from home. Go until this whole thing has been isolated and properly managed and decreased. Go home and work from home. Manage your emails, do your job from home. This obviously has a huge impact on research and development as well as day-to-day operations of any company. But on the hands-on level, on the factory floor, lots of these manufacturers are doing the smart thing and either shutting down huge areas of production or minimizing interaction within production, only opening smaller areas of different production facilities, or minimizing the entire production to smaller scale efforts within production. Don't get me wrong, they've still got output happening. They've not ceased production entirely, but they've definitely reduced output. And again, this doesn't just apply to network attached storage. And again, I'm not talking about any one brand. I'm just looking at generally what you can see on the production level from the majority of NAS brands. Now, what is the result of this? Well, first and foremost, you're going to have lower output. The amount of hardware being produced at the factory level, once you introduce scaling back of not only the hands-on professionals, but also those that are kind of dealing with the brands on a brain level, on a handling level, sales, RMA, all of those different areas, you end up with a system where things are going to be a bit slower across all the different areas. But production, being made up of so many different cogs in a machine, is going to take a tremendous hit. So with that and the lower amount of units that are going to be produced during this period, you are going to see that affecting things down the line. But we don't have to look that far down the line to see right now. One look at, again, if you look at stock in the channel on these websites that monitor worldwide production of hardware, you have seen that not only has hardware being produced started to decrease, but the buying of hardware by different brands has dramatically increased. And this isn't so much panic buying, it's just a lot of retailers want to make sure that they've got stock for their home and business customers. So you end up with retailers stocking up on hardware. So right now, where they might go, yes, we'll take 100 units of A, 50 units of B, and 30 units of C, they are stocking up for 3 to 4 months. They are buying up the existing hardware that is out there. So you end up with retailers price fighting to buy all of this kit. And then on top of that, it's a system where, because they've bought up all the technology and there's hardware shortages potentially on the way, going by that business model, the result is the prices are now going to go up. We've already seen the price of a number of NAS hardware out there, and I'm not going to name them. I've mentioned them in other videos, going up in price. And this is something we're going to see becoming very, very commonplace as demand grows higher, but stock grows lower. It's simple supply and demand. Now, with those price increases that are already happening, these are going to become the standard, and technology that's already should have, if not bowed out, then at least not been seen to be the top dog, will suddenly go up to a price that matched its initial release price or maybe even higher. And again, if you shop around, you're still going to get bargains, but the more time that goes by, the worse those bargains are going to be. Now, we've already seen this impact on things that are happening in the future with regards to new releases being announced. We're entering a period where we fully expected new hardware to be announced. We expected a number of the top tier NAS brands to go, this is our new this, that and the other, and throw it out there. And you guys were already waiting on this stuff since the end of 2019, wondering, ooh, where is it? And we've not seen any new announcements. Not only have we not seen any new hardware announcements, generally in the interesting stuff at least, from the NAS brands themselves on their official channels, we've not seen anything at new events. Why have we not seen it at new events? Because the events are being postponed and cancelled, because more and more regions are limiting the number of large gatherings of people in single locations in the short term as a precautionary measure, which makes a lot of sense. This month alone, I was going to be at IT Partners in France, and of course that got cancelled because of France passing that law of having no more than 5,000 people in a single location at an organised event, and lots of countries are following suit. And we're seeing more and more events in the global tech calendar either be flat out cancelled until 2021 or kicked down the road to July, August, September, October. So because of that and those events being postponed, we are definitely seeing new hardware being announced and released subject to a postponement. Now, there are exceptions to the rule. New releases that were slated to arrive now, such as, for example, the Synology J series or the QNAP D series, the 251D, maybe even a few others, these announcements that were already made in December and January in one form or another have started to arrive, because when those announcements came out, the hardware had already been developed for the large part, but there's nowhere near the hardware quantities backed up that you would expect from a new release. So even the new releases, seemingly, if you look at stock levels on a number of different websites, and of course I recommend you go to span.com, have shown decreased quantity numbers. And that means that not only are we going to see new hardware announcements become more few and further between, but even the existing and the new hardware that is announced is not going to be in the quantity numbers that you would expect. So when you're buying your new network attached storage, or indeed any other technological device, particularly in storage that's comprised of many, many different components from different locations, you are going to start to see not only you're having to wait longer for deliveries, but also the quantities that are available are fewer and further between. And I know it seems like panic, and I'm not trying to induce panic here. I'm saying that when you're making your purchase, you need to factor in that there is going to be hardware shortages later on. Maybe not on a grand scale, but definitely on a scale. Where does this impact into the future? Well, it's going to create a bottleneck. Now, I'm recording this video on I think the 16th of March right now. It might be the 15th today. I've totally lost track. I've had a long weekend. But right now, there aren't that many new NASs being announced. We're seeing a lot of hardware being put out there, and we've seen some new releases already make it to shelves. But I can fully see that with the announcement of all of these new events happening later in the year, and they've been postponed, along with potential hardware shortages, I can fully see an idea that from September onwards, we're going to see a tremendous bottleneck. We're going to see a lot of new hardware being released at exactly the same time. We're going to see, much like we did a few years ago, when the NAS brands released their hardware very, very close together. Because a lot of work goes into developing this hardware, and you don't want to release obsolete kit. So what will happen is, I think towards the end of this year, we're going to see a slew of new releases all together. There's going to be a deluge all towards the end of the year. Now, if you can wait, which I don't recommend because it's data, and if you don't have a decent redundant solution under your belt, if you can wait, you're going to see a lot of new hardware all coming at once. Almost too much, I reckon. And a lot of NAS brands should right now still try to announce their hardware and kit. Right now, Computex in Taipei is still looking like it's going to go ahead, and that's at the end of May and early June. I think somewhere at the transition period. It might even be the 2nd to the 6th of June. Do check that out. But with a lot of events that were supposed to take place now in March being postponed to July, that's when I think we're going to see the real release information and how things play out with coronavirus. So we've looked at the present, we've looked at the future. Let's talk about what you need to do. Well, first and foremost, if you are looking at a solution that you think you're going to need in the next 2 months, buy it now. And again, I'm not saying that to panic you. I'm saying that if there is a solution that you've accepted you're going to need in the next 2 months, I would buy it pretty soon. Because one, although there's stock levels now, there won't be that much in terms of stock later. And retailers are going to increase the price of the stock they have based on availability. It's not going to be a human making that decision. It's going to be automated systems that look at availability of stock levels and then look at what they're selling it for and will adjust accordingly. So if you need a solution in the next 2 months, I strongly recommend that you look at purchasing it relatively soon, because you'll get probably the best price now and you won't have to wait very long. Whereas in a couple of months' time, we could, massive italics, end up with a situation where you are looking to buy an item that you're going to have to wait 7 to 10 to 30 days for, and the price will be more than you're paying now on an item that's in stock. And it won't even be something new. That's the worst thing. Or new, obviously it'll be new, but it won't be a latest release tech. So do bear that in mind. And again, I cannot stress this enough. This isn't about panic. Buying these things, it's no point buying something you don't even need. But if you're going to buy a solution soon, I would err on the side of caution and maybe go sooner rather than later. If you can wait longer than 2 months for your solution, ride it out. Because they're saying 2 to 3 months on this might make all the difference, and things will come back to normal. And then, hopefully, towards the end of the year, we can all breathe a sigh of relief. But, again, 2 months. 3 at a push. Think about that. But I hope you found this video helpful. Do let me know in the comments what you think, and maybe if there's any new stuff that comes out in the interim, you can tell me about it in the comments. Once again, of course, I'm going to tell you to go to spam.com. It's an unsubtle plug, but let's face it, with over 25 years in the biz, and most of the information for today's video has been correlated thanks to their expert knowledge and the people they're in contact with. So to not give them a plug would be madness. Also, of course, you can ask my opinion or ask me questions directly at nascompares.com in the link in the description as well. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Share what you know. I'll tell you what I know in the comments, and I'll see you next time.